Hi, konnichiwa. In this video, you'll be introduced to the Japanese verb groups. In Japanese, the plain form or the basic form of verbs are called the dictionary form because that's the one you will find in dictionaries. And Japanese verbs are categorized into 3 groups. Group 1 is called u verb. Group 2 is called ru verb. And group 3 is irregular verb. These verb groups become useful for Japanese language learners when they learn verb conjugations. Let's take a closer look at each group. The simplest one is the irregular verbs, group 3. We have 2 irregular verbs, kuru, to come, and suru, to do. Please note that there are many verbs that are variations of kuru or suru, and those verbs are also irregular verbs. The ru verbs in group 2 end with either eru or iru. For example, taberu, to eat, ends with eru. Pretty much all other verbs are u verb, group 1. For example, nomu, to drink, is u verb because it's not irregular and it does not have the eru or iru ending. There is just one exception to this rule. Some verbs that have the eru or iru ending are u verb, group 1. But don't worry about it too much because there are not so many exceptions. You will see the list of exceptions later in this video. Now let's learn how to identify a verb group with some examples. To identify a verb group, there are 4 checkpoints. Since it's easy to identify irregular verbs, we check if the verb is irregular at the first checkpoint. At the second checkpoint, we check whether the verb has the ru ending. If the verb doesn't end with ru, it's automatically u verb, group 1. Since more than half of the Japanese verbs are u verb, it's very easy to identify most of the u verbs. If it turns out that the verb has the ru ending, we move on to the checkpoint 3 and see if it has the eru or iru ending. If verb doesn't have the eru or iru ending, it's u verb, group 1. But if it does end with eru or iru, the verb is probably ru verb, group 2. But remember, there is an exception. So at the checkpoint 4, we check if the verb is one of those exceptions. If it's not, the verb is ru verb, group 2. Let's try with an example. The first example is suru, to do. The first checkpoint is whether the verb is kuru or suru. We know suru is the irregular verb, so the answer is yes. Suru is the irregular verb, group 3. The next verb is nomu, to drink. Checkpoint 1, is it kuru or suru? The answer is no. Checkpoint 2, does the verb have the ru ending? The answer is no. Nomu does not have the ru ending. Remember, all verbs that don't have the ru ending are automatically u verb, group 1. So nomu is u verb. The next verb is taberu, to eat. Checkpoint 1, is it kuru or suru? The answer is no. Checkpoint 2, does it have the ru ending? The answer is yes. taberu has the ru ending. Checkpoint 3, does it have the eru or iru ending? The answer is yes. Taberu has the eru ending. It's very likely that taberu is ru verb, group 2, but let's check for exception. The exception list for Japanese 101 level includes kaeru, to go back, and hairu, to enter. So it looks like taberu is not one of those exceptions. So 食べる is る verb, group 2. The next verb is 帰る to go back. Checkpoint 1. Is it 来る or する? The answer is no. Checkpoint 2. Does it have the る ending? The answer is yes. 帰る has the る ending. Checkpoint 3. Does it have the える or いる ending? The answer is yes. 帰る has the える ending. Checkpoint 4. Is this one of those exceptions? Let's check the exception list for Japanese 101 again. It includes 帰る and 入る. So looks like 帰る is one of those exceptions. So 帰る is u verb, group 1, even though it has the える ending. Now let's see the list of exceptions. These verbs are exceptions, and they are u verbs, group 1, even though they end with either える or いる. For those who study the Japanese 101 level, we have about 2 exceptions. 帰る to go back and 入る to enter. For those who study for the Japanese language proficiency test N5, there are a few more exceptions. いる to need, 切る to cut, 知る to know, and 走る to run. Let's practice with more verbs. Here's 6 more verbs. 話す to speak, 起きる to wake up, 入る to enter, 来る to come, 掃除する to clean, 作る to make. Let's start with 話す to speak. Which verb group is this? It's clearly not the irregular verb because it's not 来る or する. Does it have the る ending? No, 話す doesn't have the る ending, so 話す is u verb, group 1. How about 起きる to wake up? This is not irregular. If you look at the ending of 起きる, it ends with いる, so it's probably る verb if it's not one of those exceptions. In this case, 起きる is not in the exception list, so 起きる is る verb, group 2. How about 入る to enter? Clearly, it's not irregular, and it has the いる ending, so again, it's probably る verb if it's not one of those exceptions. In this case, 入る is the exception. So 入る is u verb, group 1, even though it has the いる ending. How about 来る to come? Clearly, 来る is the irregular verb, group 3. How about 掃除する to clean? 掃除する has the する ending, so is this irregular? The answer is yes. The する in 掃除する is from the irregular verb する, and it's the variation of する verb. So 掃除する is irregular verb, group 3. How about 作る to make? Some people may wonder if 作る is irregular because it ends with 来る. Is this irregular? The answer is no. 作る just happens to contain 来る, but it has nothing to do with the 来る verb. So let's check if it has the 得る or いる ending. You see that 作る has the うる ending. Since 作る is not irregular and doesn't have the 得る or いる ending, it's u verb, group 1. Today, we learned the introduction to Japanese verb groups and how to identify those groups. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. ありがとうございます。